So my name is Dave, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm some other things too, but my story will get to the part of now. And now says that this is a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I could talk about a lot of things, but I'm gonna keep my comments about alcohol. But drugs are a big part of my story, so that's that with that. What it was like. Well, I'm pretty old. So when I came up, a lot of the stuff that you might be used to didn't exist. And what I mean by that was I was different. The word now is neurodiversity. I learned different than other people. I remembered things different than other people. That didn't make for a good situation, especially since, well, let me tell you the first joke I wrote about my mom. And it was, I didn't like her when she was alive. I'm not looking for another. And it wasn't until rehab, actually, that I realized that she did the best she could with what she had. But when I grew up, emotions were not on the approved list, and discipline wasn't on the approved list. And before you go, oh, whoopee, yeah, it didn't turn out that way. You know, there was shit like, if he doesn't brush his teeth, well, they'll fall out when he grows up. I don't have one of my teeth in there. That wasn't a good outcome. And I started comparing very, 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 very early. My parents punched way above their weight all the time. That was their thing. They didn't, especially my mom. She didn't like her weight. She wanted to be bigger, and it wasn't happening. We moved to the richest place, the richest real estate in the world at the time, a place called Weston, Connecticut. And that's a place where they would go, these motherfuckers would go over to France, and they take a French villa down brick by brick, ship it over and set it up in Weston, Connecticut. And that was the big house on the road. And behind that was the house for the staff. And behind that was, like, you know, the dog walker. And that was on a thing, you know, moldy. That's where we lived. And so I knew, you know, that we weren't shit. The first production, the first entertainment, the first event that I did was in middle school. I did a benefit for the starving Biafran children. You see, I knew what deprived was. It wasn't us. You know, we were in bad shape. Being able to hitchhike all over, you know, at 9 wasn't bad, because these people had it bad. We were a justice household. My mother said, why would you ever treat a woman less than, what is that? What are you talking about? That was just never on the menu, never. Races, none of those were on the menu. And what happened was, I turned into, what I produce is what I am, right? I had these emotional deregulation things happening, right? And coping skills, and it wasn't going well. I was not happy, and there was a kind of, I realize now, a psychic pain. You know, there was a pain, an empty pain way deep inside. And then the hormones kicked in. And then the quest to get laid kicked in. And that was pretty much the responsibility statement. Anyone, anywhere. So I was like that from the get-go. I also had a spiritual path from the get-go, you know? I was a stone cold hippie. I was, or I like to refer to it now, a dirty stinking hippie. And it was all good, you know? But the alone and of course, I didn't relate to anybody at school, except for some teachers. Of course, I got out of the things I didn't want to do. I could then, and now I still can talk a hungry dog off a meat truck. That was how I coped by developing those skills. So finally, we went to this Unitarian church. The Unitarian church is, you can believe anything you want to believe, the understanding of your beliefs. A very big sun. We walk under the same sun. The sun is big. We are small. We're all the same. That thing. And I know I say that with cynicism, but it really is pretty cool. And I ended up going to a hippie summer camp in Rome, Massachusetts, and finally found a tribe. I finally found some people my age who looked like me and thought like me. And in 1972, I did something bad. And just before that, I started on this pattern of when I got caught, I'd lose my shit. Like when I was sitting at the end of the dock and there was this girl and I was slagging this other girl to get with this girl, and then the other girl is standing behind me and can hear me. And that feeling with all that blood just draining out of my face, that I felt. And so I did something bad at the hippie summer camp, and it got out immediately. And man, I wanted to die. I just wanted to, I wanted to not die, I wanted to shrink, I just wanted to shrink. I didn't know, I didn't know what to do because I didn't know what to do. The kitchen staff knew what to do. I love the kitchen staff. They gave me something and I got numb. And I went, what? Oh, this is good. And then I chased that. I'm not feeling anything and it doesn't take anything, it's not like a decision. I don't know, 40 years, 50 years. I was out there a long time. And, I worked in the disco business for a while, house music all night long, house music all night long. I don't want to be a freak, but I can't help myself. These were our mantras, right? In 2015, it was the movie Numb and Number. And it was ridiculous. Because when you're that numb, you really can't drive a car for a long ways. And you know what I was producing then? I was driving from Burlington, Vermont to Kingston, New York, teaching, going to karaoke all night, teaching a class for my job during the day, driving to Providence, Rhode Island, going to karaoke all night, teaching a class from 9 to 5, going to karaoke and being back in Vermont on Monday. Now, if a numb person has got to do that, something else is kicking in, and it sure was. And that's where it became clear that I suffer from the disease of more. I just want more and more. And in 2016, it took over. I was done. There wasn't any thought of quitting. There wasn't any thought of anything except, I'm one of those alcoholics where, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but you run out, and this thing comes over. Not just a craving, but it will never happen. That starts for me before I run out. So that terror when I go, oh, that's only gonna, and then I start, just my whole life and goal is that when that runs out, something else, I'll have another bottle, I'll have another whatever. And at that point, so I'm working in an event security company and doing really well, thank you. producing really well. I was running the security for this festival called the Friendly Gathering, and I loved it. I loved the people. I loved the guests. I loved Twiddle, if you know Twiddle. I mean, we carried their stuff up to the top of this mountain, and they played. It was, and that year it was just awesome. And then we left, and then we came back the third year, and I had to step down. I had to turn the show over to my my work husband, my partner, not just my work husband, because I couldn't do it, because I was too numb. I was too sketched out. I couldn't do my job, and that was my first moment of clarity. I'm doing all this stuff in order to be able to produce at this level because that's all I have, because I'm a fraud. Clearly. My sponsor says every time I say clearly, it's because I don't want to actually do the work of explaining it. Clearly, I'm an imposter. And I got a bunch of outside issues, and I was dealing, and this person gave me a suggestion. Maybe you want to, try rehab. Maybe you want to try. Just a suggestion. Then there was the funny part about me trying to get the insurance company, because I called them an insurance company. I need inpatient. I want yoga and acupuncture in the beach in Florida. And they said, when was the last time you did something? I said, I put 2 weeks together. And they said, you're not sick enough. Goodbye. And I said, oh. And 2 months later, I called back, and they were like, get thee to Beachcomb. But I wasn't done. And the weekend before, my loving extended family gave me a going away party that could have killed a horse. I went to Providence, Rhode Island as part of my work. And there I chased a sex worker for cocaine for 3 days and $1,000. And every time I got ripped off, I went back. I stood by an ATM at 11:50 at night, waiting for it to be Sunday, so they'd reset how much I could take out. I fell for every scam you can think of. Big old bag of baking soda at one point. Kept going back. I just kept going back to it. And and here's the thing about what happened. I thought that was a hysterically funny story. That was like one of my best stories ever. And I would talk about standing there, and then the car drives off, and I was like, oh my God, I thought it was the height of my storytelling. And then I went to Delray, Florida. And I found out that she did the best she could. I found out that I could be loved. It was a suggestion. I was not willing to believe that, but I heard the suggestion. And then on Thursday nights, they load you in your cars and they take you to the Church of the Pines. And my first AA meeting, and I went, get the, oh my God, look, there's the people at the front table, and they love there's the aisle of denial in the back, and I got my first silver chip. And for the first time in a long time, I felt there was a tribe again. And that was the thing. That was a big freaking thing. From there, so I haven't had a drink in like 4.5 years. I haven't had a street drug in 4.5 years. But see, there's a dumpster fire up here. This is the symbol for it, so that when I catch myself, being a dick. See, I was a dick. I still am. But now I don't have to act like it all the time, which is a freaking Christmas miracle. And how did I do that? I just went to, I went to meetings. I listened to everybody about how we were the same, not how we were different. And I did a bunch of service. That's it. I got a sponsor, same sponsor. I went to I go to meetings. I got home groups up the wazoo. I got about 20 hours of service a week, which is probably too much. But I just kept coming. And the parts that didn't work for me, I learned how to let go of the parts that didn't work for me so that I had the opportunity for them to work for me. So when I was driving around early on in sobriety, I found a meeting in where am I? I'm at 1459. I was driving around, and I loved driving for work because I would once I got sober, because I had the Garmin and the meeting app and the thing. And at 5 o'clock on my trip, I just stop and find a meeting and go to it, no matter what it was. And there's top of a mountain in a monastery. Anyway. Yeah, it was Long Island. I was seeing my sister in Long Island. And this meeting was just, first of all, it was in one of these clubhouse type things, but with wicked high ceilings. And it was just filled. It was an anniversary night. It was an anniversary meeting, and it was just filled. And they were just not like they're working class, Irish and Italian. You know, when the tattoos have already like spread out, and maybe you can see mom in there somewhere, but not really. And they're just the opposite of me. And we were on fire. We were on fire. The 11 year was awesome. A 44 year, what was awesome. And then the speaker came up, and he had moved to Florida, and he came back. And the thing that got me was, he said, when he first came in, the sponsor says, I want you to get on your knees and pray. And he said, I don't believe in God. The sponsor said, I didn't ask you to believe in God. And when I heard that, and I had been given that glimpse of, and for me, it was just okayness. It wasn't good. But it was not that glimpse of not it being shitty all the time inside. I said, oh, fine. And it became easier and easier to read the instructions, because that's the thing about the book, the big book. It's a simple set of instructions. Upon awakening, I asked my higher power to keep my thinking free of self-pity, dishonest, self-seeking thoughts. And then I go through my day and say, it's right. I just do that. Just do that. Okay, it's fine. My sponsor found an app. So I have this really awesome app that takes you through those questions and the ones at night. And do I want to do that? Is it easy? Sometimes. Sometimes not. And sometimes I don't do them. I'm not allowed to quote the big book anymore unless I have an absolute quote, because I used to paraphrase it and it didn't go well. But there's a piece in there about what do you do when you stop, and whether it's praying, and the answer is the one answer. You take it easy. Take it easy. You'll be back. The concept of let go, let God, for a long time for me, it was let go or get dragged. So I was in here to stop the hurt and to stop being a dick. I was in here to have stuff not happen. And slowly but surely, I started hanging around for the stuff that does happen. And it didn't come easy, and it didn't come soon. There's some people in this room, I know for an absolute fact, who feel like they're crawling through broken glass. and that can't even see that there's anything worth, like there's nothing on the other side. So why am I doing this? And the two things that I could, we don't give advice here. That's not what we do. Anybody tells you they know exactly what you should be doing, fuck them. You're not alone. As soon as I came here, I was no longer alone. And for me, that changed everything. And I didn't have to drink again. What? I didn't have to. I had to before, didn't have to. And I think those two are very related. Because for me, the reason I wanted to be numb was I just felt so alone. And now I don't. I surely don't like everybody here. And they surely don't, everybody doesn't like me. But I love every single one of you. I have to. That's how I stay sober. Is by letting go of any comparisons and just going, oh, you and I. This story has changed. That's the last time I told my story was about 4 months ago. And it was a totally different story at the end. Because now, it's so freaking corny. It's the life, I just never, so that job, that security job, I became a manager and I was running a department and I up and quit it for a month ago. I just said, you people, the senior staff, I don't want to manage. No, it was toxic and it was hurting me and my health and my mental health. I said, no, bye, see you. 20 years I've been there. And I got the job of my dreams, which is I'm a geek. I'm a geek. I've always been a geek. And now I'm a geek for Best Buy. I'm on the Geek Squad. And it's just like, what? And I love that so much. And I never would have dumped that sure thing. Nope. To pick up what nurtures me, to pick up something that sustains me. Recovery are the things I do, the simple set of instructions. Unity is the part where I don't care what an asshole you are. And you're sharing about yourself every freaking night and over and over. I don't care. We are the same. I need to, and me figuring out why is everything. And I do a shit ton of service just because I can. And I think, what is that? That is 21 minutes and 50 seconds. So I think that's enough out of me. That's enough out of me. What do you think of my hoodie? No, stupid. Thanks for asking, Patrick.